Welcome to About That Life podcast, where we got a good show. Got my guy, coach, director, trainer, Fred Blue of Chico Avengers. He made it out. And then I got director of courtside, OJ Simpson. Sorry, Elijah. Elijah. I'm glad you're back, man. I'm glad you can make it. So hopefully we have a good show for you. Check the intro out.
From the YBA Phoenix Fitness 24/7 basketball facility in Rockland, California, it's About That Life podcast with your host, Coach C. Collins and Coach MJ.
Get it started. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Welcome to About That Life podcast, where we're here to talk a little bit of AAU basketball, high school ball, everything in between, so we can give parents out there, players out there, some type of perspective on what to expect in this AAU game. So hopefully we'll have a good show for you. Haven't done it in a while. Coach MJ, it's his wife's birthday, so he is out. So I have a guest host who's also been a recurring guest here, coach and courtside director, OJ Olajawon. And then we'll get to him in a second. And then we got a new guest, coach, director, trainer, overall helping kids out with the youth, Fred Blue. So I'm glad you're here, man. We'll get right to it in a sec. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, Dr. Dish. Appreciate you. Best shooting machine on the planet. Of course, they're the best shooting machine because they're the machines in my club, and they're making my kids better at shooting. If you're looking for a discount, please use About That Life podcast, and they'll throw you a discount your way. Also, Hidden Treasures Cannabis Club. If you're looking for good cannabis in California, please feel free to hit them up. They're based all over Northern California, mainly in Elk Grove and South Sac. And also, shout out to Hardwood Palace. If you're looking for good reoccurring tournaments, good structure, that's definitely the place to hit up. I would shoot your, courtside out, but y'all don't sponsor me ever. So screw y'all. Don't go to courtside. Other than that, what did you say?
I sponsor your podcast.
No.
I think I pay $1.
You pay $1 a month, bro.
$2 a month.
And I do appreciate it. I do. So thank you for OJ for sponsoring the podcast, and I appreciate it. But talking to the mic, you gotta put the mic by your mouth. Like, there you go. Just slide the table over. There you go.
All right.
You got it?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't want you messing yourself up. I know it's different being in the host seat than I guess.
I'm used to sitting over there on the other side.
But no, without further ado, let me introduce our new guest, Fred Blue. Thank you for being on the show, brother. Thank you for taking your time.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. I know we're a little behind and you're on a time crunch, so we'll get right to it. First thing, introduce yourself. Maybe talk a little bit about your basketball background, who you are. The floor is yours. Go ahead and tell them.
Oh, man. What a lot of people don't know is I'm born and raised Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta Celtics was my AAU team coming up. Big juggernaut there in Atlanta. Shout out to those guys. They've been running things for years now. But, I got recruited to play basketball at Lassen out here. My high school was Cedar Grove, which a lot of people don't know also, which is in Ellenwood, Georgia. We had Dylan Glover on our team.
Nice.
McDonald's All-American. Went to Georgia Tech, played in the NBA. So, got some looks from that and ended up coming out here playing college ball at Lassen Community College. And then from there I went to Chico State and, made a family in Chico. And kind of ever since, been doing my thing there with my son. And that's kind of what sparked me as far as, AAU. Some good programs up in Chico. Chico Tar Heels is, best program up in that area. They gave us the platform to kind of start off with. So, me and my son did that. And, a lot of people do the whole mom and pop want to start their own teams to, give their son some playing time. But, it wasn't that for me because my son got to play. But, it was more of, I got to find some more competition for him. So,
right.
We ended up kind of branching off and doing a Chico Avengers thing so I can start, recruiting some good players to put around him and be able to actually come down here in the Sacramento and the Oakland area, LA, and be able to compete. So that's kind of, how everything started for us. And, from there, it's been crazy, Things kind of took off a few years ago. shout out to Demario. Demario was what kind of got us started with the West Coast Takeover tournaments, and putting us in front of those good teams. And a lot of people don't realize that we were that team that was getting beat by 50,
right,
60.
Right.
I think Yellow Jackets beat us by 70 one time.
Yellow Jackets beat my team with Blaine, Muhammad Edgar. The first time I took them to Oakland, we played the Yellow Jackets. They beat us by 55.
Yep.
You got to take those ass whoopings, right?
They used to get on us. So that was kind of our motivation to start recruiting in the SAC area to be able to compete and get to that point where now we're one of those programs that beat teams by 50. Now I remember a long time ago when I first started dealing with OJ too. And he was running a tournament, and he had a little group chat with all the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about, the scheduling and who was going to play who. And I remember seeing a text from Devon from the Yellow Jackets saying, man, we don't want to play these teams. We done already beat them by 50. And I was like, man, that hurt. So from there, that was our motivation. I showed that to the kids. I'm like, bro, like we can't stand for this, man. So we ended up, beating up on them a little bit, as of recent. So,
all right,
it's been good.
Well, that's a good path. So, what's overall been your experience with AAU basketball? I mean, you kind of alluded to it, but what's your overall good and bad you've taken from it?
Well, the good is the competition. High school or middle school basketball. So you get one team that's really good, and you kind of run through everybody. You don't get that competition in every game. I've kind of seen the same with high school too now with the leagues. The way the leagues are structured, there's maybe one or two good teams, and then the rest of the teams are garbage. So with AAU, you can play in a tournament and you might not win a game.
Right.
So that that's been the good part of it. Also understanding there's another pathway for coaches to get a look at some kids. Travel. Hang out, it's been fun. My AAU experience, like I said, I played for the Atlanta Celtics, but, that team was stacked.
Right.
There's 4 or 5 NBA players that was on those teams. So, my experience was going in for 2 minutes a game, traveling to North Carolina to play 2 minutes.
Right.
It was crazy. So, I didn't really get, the good experience as a kid playing. So I wanted to make sure, I gave my son, something different. So that's kind of been the good of it. The bad is obviously, I watched a couple of your shows and you guys have talked about it. Trying to keep kids in your program is crazy.
Yeah, loyalty's dead. I say that quite often.
It's so hard to do, man. I mean, me and you talked about, when I saw you at Capitol that one day, and we talked about how, first time we played your team.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize those were the same kids.
Right.
We ran through your team, and now you guys are beating us, and hand to hand, we beat each other here and there. But
it's a great rivalry.
Man, you put in some work with those dudes, and
those are the same kids you beat at ARC. Same kids.
I couldn't believe it. I went back and watched the film. I went back and watched the film. I was like, dude,
that's Dom. It's Eli. Same
kids.
kids. But I try to keep that core together and grow them little by little. But it is very difficult.
It's difficult, and then you provide that platform, and the kids are like you guys were saying, the parents. The parents don't understand that that kid wouldn't be recruited or seen by those big programs if it wasn't for us.
Right.
So it would be nice to have some sort of loyalty to even have a conversation saying, hey, this coach reached out. What do you think?
Right.
And me, I'm not gonna hold kids back. I heard you guys talking about that too. But I'm not gonna hold you back. If you feel like you got something better, then
it's just out of respect, right? That's the biggest thing for me. I mean, if you got an opinion on this as well, I know you got a young group and it's your son's team, but as they get older and better, you probably gonna run into this at some point as well. But it's just I think like I've alluded to it numerous times. There's a respectful way to where we can have this conversation. Okay, if it doesn't work out, or if you think the grass is greener over there, go, right, and find out. Doesn't guarantee that you'll be able to come back, but, you do what you think is best. And it's also the wrong way to go about it, and I think we all kind of know what that way is. So I don't know why it's like that, but that's just the culture of AU basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like a lot of these coaches got to walk on eggshells around parents these days. You know, I mean, if a coach yells at a kid the wrong way, and as a coach, you feel like you're coaching this kid to his potential, but then the parent sees it the other way, and 2 weeks later, it might be in a different program.
Yep.
Yeah. Like
So, I mean, the loyalty is, you know, it's not there. Like growing up and stuff, I didn't play AAU that much, though. But I remember, you know, you staying on one team. Let's finish this out first. Communicate. Right. Now there's none of that. You know, like it's more about winning, and there's no development no more.
I think parents and kids get swept up in what I call nowism, right? Mm-hmm. They get too swept up in the now, and not thinking of, you know, 5 years down the
long
line.
Term. You know, everything is short term these days. You know, everyone, like I said, everyone wants to win now, but I mean, you do a good job at it. It's development. You know, like a lot of these coaches too, they don't want to do that. They just want to go get all these kids, and then there's no growth. And then, like I said, the skill grows, but the kid's mindset doesn't grow at the same time as fast as the skill, though. So a lot of kids get burnt out these days too, because you know their mind is not being able to grow that fast as, you know, their game. So that's what happens a lot, though, too, these days.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, well, what's been the driving force? And you kind of alluded to that too. You know, for your program to be successful, like, you know, what would you say is the big motivator for you?
Well, most of all, I just love hoops, man. I've grown up basketball. Like I everything is basketball for me. So that's really the driving force for me. Is I do a lot of training with kids, and you know, seeing kids play basketball the right way. If you guys have watched any of my training sessions, like it's all fundamentals. Like
yeah.
I do a little bit of advanced elite stuff, but most of it is just fundamentals. You know, my son, he developed all that behind the back and between the legs stuff on his own. I never taught him any of that. You know, for the first year or two of his life, I wouldn't let him use his right hand. I made him use his left hand to dribble. So now people think he's left-handed, and he's not. He likes to go left, and he dribbles better with his left hand, but that's just because that's the way I trained him.
At what age did you start him?
3.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, 3 years old. Just handling the ball at 3.
Same.
So that's really what it is for me. You know, I just like to develop kids, man. I like to see, you know, a kid that comes to the program and, you know, he has 1 or 2 moves and I can teach him to do 3 or 4 moves, or kid that has no moves, I can teach him 1 move, or, you know, kid doesn't understand how to play defense, you know, see the ball the whole time, like something little like that to just teach him that. That's really it for me. Like that's the thing that helped me. All my training that I've always done, I never charged for it. Like my son was training anyways, so I just invited the neighborhood to come with us and start doing training. You know, as of late, I've kind of turned it into a business, so now I charge for training. But for 10 years, 15 years, I never charged a kid for no training.
That's how it is for me now. I train kids, my kids on my team. I don't charge them $1. Only thing I ask is for loyalty.
Yeah.
That's all I ask, you know, so.
No, that's great stuff. I mean, well, I wanted to talk to you about, and obviously, Fred, you know, the position you're in, and kind of similar to myself in terms of there's going to be people that love what you do and there's going to be people that hate what you do. So just want to talk about that elephant in the room, right? So, you know, you're going to catch backlash, you're going to catch hate. A lot of people might not know, at least I know, because me and O have talked about it. You do a lot of this out of your own pocket, right? I know you pay for a lot. You've done it for years, which I think is an amazing accomplishment in itself. But the reality is, because your son plays in a lot of the games, most people just think, oh, this is just centered around, you know, Fred Jr., right? And to me, I'm going to be real. I don't think nothing's wrong with that. Like, if you are putting your son in the right positions to play against tough competition to make him better, what the fuck's wrong with that? I don't think your son plays for you. Like, there's nothing – to me, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're coming out of pocket doing all this yourself. So, you know, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it. But, of course, because you're going to draw some of the more talented kids, because let's be real, kids are going to go where it's free, right? Sure. Parents are going to go where it's free. That's just – and that's something I've talked about extensively in AAU. Even my street interviews at courtside the other day, I talked about, should AAU basketball be free? I just asked people, randomly, and most people said no. Like, there should be a cost because you got to pay for the building, you got to pay the electricity, you got to pay the ref, you got to pay the scorekeeper. Like, but there's this misconception, I think, amongst parents that basketball should be free. Oh, my kid's really good, so he shouldn't have to pay anything. It's like, no, to me, that's bullshit. Like, so, I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're doing. I know you do a lot out of pocket for yourself. You take a lot of time out of your own life. You got kids, you got family. Like, I know your struggle. That's all I'm saying. I know your struggle. So I just I wanted to give you an opportunity and a platform to speak back on any of that if you wanted to.
Yeah, so again, people don't understand. Like, I'm from Atlanta. I grew up in Techwood Homes. Probably one of the worst projects you'll ever see in the world. And I played basketball growing up, and I never had to pay. Obviously, in those communities, that stuff's government funded. I didn't have to pay to play basketball. So, even in school, I didn't have to pay to play basketball. So when I came out here and I saw, we had to pay for my son to play middle school basketball, I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, I never understood that. But, like, my mentality has always been that, hoops should be free for kids. So that's kind of how I structured it, to start off. And, it became a very expensive habit.
Yeah.
Like you said, the travel is crazy, paying for everybody to stay in hotel rooms and food and gas for, the cars that I'm paying for, or, when we fly places to have the rent cars, like, that stuff's crazy. And I didn't really realize it until my daughter, who, thank you for Nautica Blue. She's amazing. She was, the one that kind of held my books for me, and she was going through the numbers, and she were looking at me like, Dad, we've spent $25,000 on basketball. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, we've got 15 different uniforms and bags and swag and everything, and just like, I can't believe we've spent that much money. And that was just 1 year,
right,
that we had spent, and the season wasn't even over yet. And I started looking back like, man, we done pretty much contributed over $100,000 in hoops. And last year was the first time I decided that, okay, we need to charge a little bit, start charging something. So last year we started charging, and this year is going to be different, and we'll see, what that loyalty lies, because now we're going to see, who will stay with you,
right,
that you got to pay.
Because when it's free, it's easy, right? When it's free.
Oh, man.
Hey, well, take my kid or whatever. Now you say, hey, it might cost like $500, right? $1,000 for a season, right? And people don't understand a season. Like, a season can last 4 months. So again, 1,000 divided by 4 isn't that,
it's
not that expensive.
Not a lot.
But it's like, to me, I'm like, somehow you could pay your rent and bills, but you can't pay $200 a month to this, so what?
I got a question for both of you guys.
What's up?
How do you guys, because you guys are, obviously up and coming, how do you guys compete with the bigger circuit teams of retaining these kids, though? Sometimes, though, is that hard? Like, that's what I said about the loyalty, because obviously Fred's paying for everything, but when a team Lillard calls or something like that, or Oakland Soldiers, or somewhere down south.
So I was getting ready to mention that part too. The bad part of sponsoring your own team is there's nothing invested.
Nope.
From the parent side. So it's easy to go over here, to another team, because I didn't pay anything over there. So it's easy to just leave and go to another team. So that's some of the things I've been dealing with also. I mean, you've seen my teams, sometimes I'll have a kid for a month and a half, and the next thing you know, I'll show up with a whole new team.
Yeah.
That's the bad part of doing that. So I mean, Collins, I'm sure you can speak on yours, because you've been charging and growing kids, and then they get to a point to where that big program reach out.
Oh, yeah.
When you already have a big program too.
And they still leave.
Still go.
No, I mean,
for them, like, most of the time, it's a tax write-off for them.
Like exactly.
Sponsoring our NBA players sponsoring these teams.
Yep.
I'm not knocking anything like that, but for someone, especially young black man up and coming, it's like
you would think there's loyalty, man.
Though,
I mean, from my side, to answer your question is, it's two things. It's a two-sided coin for me. I say to the parent, what's more important to you, clout, prestige, or development? That's the first question I pose to them. And secondly, is it the right fit for your kid? Because when Lo was on my show, shout out to Lo, you're doing a great job at Sac State, by the way, brother. He said something that we talked about on that show with like Calipari, you know, because he knows a lot of those Pac-12 coaches personally, and he says like Calipari would say to him, like, even when they were trying to recruit kids from the soldiers, he would say, I like that kid, but I don't like him for Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I ask kids, like, okay, you can go, like, for instance, Mark's going to play my sophomore Mark from Rockland, you know, that kid started out and you know, he started out barely being able to make a layup.
I remember.
So now, you know, he's windmilling and proud of him on his progress. We worked a lot of nights, a lot of days with him, but now he's leaving my team and he's going to go play with Jalen Green Elite. Do I think that's 100% fair? Not really, but I understand, I guess, what he's doing, right. You know, and I understand the name alone is going to draw a kid. Yeah, you know what I mean? And shout out to Joey with Lake Show because he's running that program, and I got nothing but respect for him as well. He's going to come on the show sometime soon, and we're going to talk. But does it suck to an emotional degree to watch a kid that you guys know, because you guys literally saw me when I first got him, to a kid that could barely make a layup, to now, yes, he's windmill dunking, he's Rockland High centerpiece, he's got Sacramento Bee top 50 player last year as a freshman, was the only freshman on that list, and now he goes, thanks, coach, I'm leaving. Yeah. Is there an emotional component that sucks? Yes, but I've just done this so long, I guess I'm kind of numb to it now. I just kind of expect it, and I just hope for the best. That's all I can do.
Right.
Do I think it's overall right? No. I think personally you leave a program if a couple of things. One, like if a kid moves, like for instance Connor, who played for you, right? He lives out here now. So it makes a little bit of sense, right? You know, if you can't be in the same location, that makes sense. Two, collaborate with the other coaches. Like, again, I circle back with Connor. Me and, you know, we've had those conversations about kids, and some of my kids have guest played with you for over the years. You know, you have those conversations. And three, if something isn't being fulfilled for you at another place, like if a coach is lacking in the development side, if the program itself can only get to a certain platform. Like there's certain programs out there, they only go up to 8th grade, right? They don't even go to high school. Well, now those high school kids got to go somewhere, right? You know, it's little things like that where I would say that's when it's okay or acceptable to move. But the loyalty component, I use relationships. That's at least what I try to do. I try to remind people of the relationships and the things re-accomplished through the trenches that got your kid to this point now. But will that always keep a kid there? No. It's just a reality of it. You just accept as your kids grow in their abilities, and hopefully you just maintain their best interests, that at some point it's always possible they're going to leave.
Yeah.
No. Hopefully that answers your question. So it's just
like I said, I just see it a lot though now, you know, with kids leaving. And as a coach, you obviously want the best for the kid as well, though, too. But like I said, sometimes it's hard to stomach, especially when you got like a personal relationship with that kid.
The emotional component sucks because, again, I think Marcus Kirkland, when he was on here, said it great. He said we're human. It's like coaches are human too. We're invested in these kids just as much as you are, and it's not investment because we hope to gain something out of it. It's investment because we're just humans and we care. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think people forget that part of it sometimes. Are there coaches out there that are purely out there to exploit children, make themselves look good, get some money, all that shit? Yeah, they exist. Yes, they do.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but it could be a sleazy business.
Yeah, absolutely. But any business can. But in my opinion, I have run across more coaches that do this for the right reason than the wrong reason.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not the majority, even though it might try to be portrayed like that sometimes, because obviously the negative side of stuff gets more clicks, more views, more, you know, whatever. I mean, I do a 1-minute segment where I talk about the controversial stuff in AAU. Yeah, that's going to get me more views than necessarily something like this where we're talking about the positive side.
Yeah.
But to act like that's the majority, it's not.
Well, you know, it's one of those things. I always tell you what you're doing bad before they tell you what you're doing good.
You're right.
So I mean, that's what it is, though, too.
I wanted to talk about so in case you guys don't know, and this is I'm talking to my audience out there and you guys on YouTube. YBA is now joined with the Adidas Gauntlet. We're going to do the Adidas Gold Gauntlet. There's a few factors on the why. I'll probably do a Coach's Rise time talking about that and kind of what brokered my decision to go from the UA to the Adidas side. So please stay tuned for that. But one of the cool parts is I'm collaborating with Ryan Sipkins from Touch Shooting and Fred himself. We're going to collaborate in terms of getting kids, making some strong teams, making a strong run for the gold gauntlet. Going to hopefully, well, it should work out. We should have 2 15U strong teams, 2 16U strong teams, and 1 really strong 17U. And we're hoping to go out there and make a name for YBA. I'm providing the platform. Fred and Ryan are providing the kids. And shout out to Phil Handy. He's sponsoring one of the teams, the YBA Touch Shooting team, whatever you want to call it. So, you know, shout out to him and much appreciated for you with that, brother. So, what I wanted to talk about with this Adidas stuff and this Rise Circuit stuff, and Nike has a new division as well, the EYCL, I believe it's called, and then New Balance has created them. They've created a circuit. I don't know how much clout it's gotten, but all these shoe programs are creating. Let's call it the gold side is the JV side, and the triple SB is the varsity side, if you want to call it that, right? Same for UA. There's the UA Rise side and the UAA side. There's the EYCL side and there's the EYBL side for Nike. So you can call it the JV side and the varsity side. On the Adidas Gold side, you have about 48 teams out of all the teams they could have picked. They got 48. So that's an exclusive group, period. Right. Like, think about all the AAU teams there are, and they pick 48. Then, of course, on the triple SB side, I think they have about 40 or 50 on that side. Half of them are NBA players' teams, right? Team Harden, Team Lillard, Jalen Green Elite, right? Obviously, the NBA. The other half are teams that have been doing this for a long time and been on that triple SB side and just, you know, renew their contracts because they're pumping out certain kids. Right. There's a lot of coaches. I shouldn't say a lot of there's some coaches that don't understand quite how it works, and on top of that, there's coaches who try to say it's a cash grab, or, you know, oh, if you're on the gold, it's not legit. They're just trying to take money from you. Me and TJ have had plenty of debates about this, and we just disagree on it. He has his stance on it, and again, everybody's allowed to have their stance on everything. I'm a strong believer in the First Amendment. Say what you want, stick by what you want. You know, my biggest thing is just try not to contradict yourself. Don't be a hypocrite. There's things I say that I could be wrong on, but I stand by them, right? He believes if you do any of those JV circuits, it's a cash grab. I believe it's not. Reason being, for me, if I'm doing the gold circuit, at least my kids are fighting for something. Right. If you know, and like we talked about, if you're winning, if you do marketing well, you might get a triple SB contract, as opposed to paying the exact same price, going to a Cali Live event or a Prep Hoops event or a Made Hoops. You still got to pay money for any of these tournaments. Like, if I go to a Cali Live event, and great job, they do a great job. Good events, they get coaches, all that. I bring my high school team out there. They play their 4 games, go home. Right? No medals, no, you know, you just play your high school games, go home. It's the exact same formula for Adidas. Difference being those 4 games count towards something. Right. And they have a shoe brand backing them up. Right? That's different. So to me, it's not, if I'm spending $600 at Cali Live, yes, my team is getting the opportunity there, but it's no different than if I spend $600 at Adidas Gold. So, with all that being said, I'm just curious of if what I'm saying makes sense, or where you guys might think or see on that. I mean, Fred, obviously, me and you working together, so, you know, you give me your thoughts.
Yeah, so I've been listening just in the winds on these things, and I've heard the same thing. You know, it's cash feed into, you know, the bigger circuits, and I mean that the business side of it makes sense to me. Yeah, you need to charge some teams down here if you're gonna sponsor a bunch of teams over here, but it's not like they're not giving you an opportunity to make it
Right.
yourself. So
Right.
you got to earn your keep.
Yeah.
You know, no different than what I said. We used to get beat by 50, 60 points. We had to work our way up to being who we are now.
Yeah.
That's no different than this right here. You know, you get to be on that JV level to earn an opportunity to go to the varsity level. Like, I understand that and I get it, and that's why I said, you know, if you could provide the platform and we can put some kids there to give them an opportunity to maybe get onto that bigger circuit, why wouldn't you do that?
Exactly.
Take advantage of it. Take a shot.
And you might end up competing against one of those triple SB teams. And you went, because, like, for instance, my UA Rise team last year ended up playing West Coast Elite's UAA team, and we won. And it was at a West Coast Elite tournament in the Bay. We were not, you know, no one expected us to win, but we actually won, you know. So it's like, does that mean, oh, we're overall better than them? No, we were just better that game or whatever. We might run it back. They might beat us. Who knows? All I'm saying is it just gives you the opportunity, right? Because let's be real, you got to chase the college. When you're an independent program, you have to chase the colleges if that's what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And then, 2, you have to chase the top players. Yeah. Well, guess where most of the top players go? Shoe circuits. You know what I mean? They don't typically go, like we just talked about with the loyalty. They're not going to stick with the independents. They're going to go typically where the shoe companies go.
It's just how it is. Like I said, I don't think there's no right or wrong way to go.
Right.
I feel like, I mean, as a coach, if you feel like this is what works for your kids, then go ahead and go that route. So, you know, that's how I feel. But it goes back to the loyalty thing and development. So I feel if you're a coach, if you can develop these kids, they're going to get looks no matter where they're at.
Exactly. And again,
so that's the biggest thing is developing the kids, and then hopefully someone's going to find those kids, and then now your whole team is being showcased because you got a few kids out there that are, you know, good enough. If they stay loyal to you, or like I said, they might end up leaving though too. So, like I said, I think that's the biggest thing is development. Though,
yeah,
you know?
And I mean the thing. I always tell parents, if your kid is a 6'10" stud, I mean, you really don't have much to worry about. Right. So college is going to find him no matter what AU program he is. But if you're a 6'3" guard at a Division V school that doesn't get many looks, like for instance, San Juan, if you want to give an example, and I think Sam and them do a great job there, but the reality is, you know, it's a small Division V school.
Right, just call it what it is.
Yeah, they don't get the opportunities that, let's say, a kid at Intercom gets. You know what I mean? They just don't. Yeah. So at least AAU or a shoe circuit, a JV shoe circuit, whatever you want to call it, gives them a chance, because that's all we're really talking about here, right? When we talk about AAU, it's just a chance, right? Instead of – my thing is a 10% chance is still better than 0. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if you don't do it, if you don't do anything at all, you're not going to get that chance. And then, okay, when that opportunity arises, you got to step up. You got to ball out, you know. So that's what I explain to my kids. That's what I explain to the parents. So for those who look at these shoe circuits like, oh, that's just cash grabs. That's, again, like I said, that's their personal take. Yeah. I don't see it that way. I just see it as being given an opportunity, and what you do with that opportunity is on you, you know.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So switching gears, I want to go into hot takes. So I want to talk a little bit of NBA with you guys. The NBA, obviously, the trades have been crazy right now, and we'll get a little more into that. But what I did want to focus on, kind of what has happened as of late with some of the NBA games, is you know, a lot of NBA players been scrapping. You know what I mean? Like, you had Donovan Mitchell get into it with what's old boy from Memphis, the light-skinned cat who got into it with Shannon Sharp and shit.
When it plays at Oregon, or played at Oregon.
Yeah, I forget. I don't know. I can't think of that dude's name.
Is that who he got into it with? Dylan
Brooks. There you go,
really?
Brooks. Yeah.
Wow,
They got that.
I saw the scuffle.
Yeah, he got into it with him. Yeah, Austin Rivers get into it with Mamba. I think it was Mamba. I can't remember. And then just all the funny storylines. You got Malik Beasley. he's on he's on the Lakers now with Scottie Pippen Jr. And remember, he dated his wife his mom in 2020.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Scottie Pippen Jr. Malik Beasley tapped his mom back in 2020, and it was a public. This is after she left Scottie Pippen and stuff. Like
she with Michael Jordan.
Now she with Michael Jordan. So I'll just say you got a lot of interesting storylines, but the biggest thing is all the scrapping. Things are getting heated in the NBA a little bit. It's kind of fun. For me, it's kind of fun to see because you're starting to get some of those old school vibes, and it's showing that guys are, with social media, the way they tweet at each other, the way they do, it's kind of nice to see that everybody's just not buddy all the time. I was just curious what you guys thought of watching some of that old school seep into the present NBA.
Like you said, just the social media plays a big factor into it. Though. I mean, us growing up watching the NBA, we didn't have that.
Nah.
Now, after game, even during games, I think they do it. They'll tweet, but they'll tag the person in the
Yeah.
I mean, but it's the same with our youth, though. They do
Right.
the same. A kid gets dunked on,
Oh,
tagging the kid in. So I just think it creates a lot more, to just put fuel on the fire, though, basically, is what I'm saying, though. So
True. You got any thoughts?
That's just really gonna take me right back into AAU and training, man. Is for that platform that people can tag you and things will go viral from getting dunked on or getting dropped. It changes training. Like seriously, like when I'm trying to teach defensive drills, I'm trying to teach a kid to slide over and cut them off, but they don't want to do that.
Nah, because they don't want to be on something. They don't want to play defense. Yeah.
They want to get shifted. I'm like, bro,
it's a generation thing, though. Too. So
that's a great point.
Just get back to it, though.
Oh my God, bro, that's changed the game so much, man. It's so hard to teach and train kids to play defense nowadays because of that. Nobody wants to slide over and help. Nobody wants to be in that midline because that's where you get dunked on.
Exactly. No, you're right.
I'm like you though, Fred. Like when I train, I just teach basics because my son's 7 now, but he's been playing since he was 3. And, he plays in our rec league and stuff. And I have parents come up to me like, man, could you teach my kid behind the back? Like, I didn't teach my son none of that.
Yeah,
though,
right.
You know what I mean? I taught him the basic stuff. And he kind of just implemented it on his own.
You pick that stuff up.
Like, all the that's on him.
It's the foundation,
all
bro.
the basic is from me, just teaching him, the basic jump stop and all that. Though everything else is kind of like, he soaks it up from watching it, but I don't teach him none of that though. So that's what it is though too.
That's what it is. It's all learning the basics. Well, LeBron's made history. Obviously, I want to talk about that. I'm a Warriors fan, but I can recognize, what someone's done. Funny enough, leave it to the internet. They're always undefeated. They showed a graph of every time he broke a scoring title or rank or whatever, he kept moving up. Every game he lost. I thought that was fucked up. But they were like, every time he lost. So I guess it poses the question. People were like, oh, he ain't playing for wins. He playing for stats and whatnot. And I don't know, man. Everybody could have their take on the legacy. I just think you can't deny the man's greatness. And then, of course, the evolution of the the NBA. Oh, yeah. It's obviously become more offensive-centric. I mean, you have scores of 130 to 133. I mean, that's why it's still people say the debate.
Are up a lot more, though, these days.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
It's not, I don't mind. Obviously, you guys probably grew up in the 80s, low scores, 94, 89.
Right.
But that was, I guess it was considered boring basketball, like you said, with the defense and all that. Like, these days, no one wants to see that, though. They want to see, like you said, 130, 140.
And it's
business. Basically like an all-star game.
Yeah.
Playing in the regular season all the time and stuff, though.
And it's a business, and I mean.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I still think you can find a balance between allowing guys to play defense and still keep the game, interesting. Because the Showtime Lakers did it in the 80s. You know what I mean? They found a way to find that balance. And they had some great rivalries, obviously, with the Celtics and Lakers because the Celtics was like the polar opposite of the Lakers. And obviously, you got two floor generals with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. I mean, it helped, obviously, catapult basketball to what it is today. And no knock on what LeBron and what he's doing. And I mean, I give him shit at least another 4 or 5 years the way he's playing, the way he might actually retire, you know. So who knows? But it does go back to the debate of the LeBron versus Jordan debate and all this stuff. And I'm just like, you know, it's just two different eras, man. Like if you put Jordan, you drop him in this era, totally, you're right. His stats change. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah,
like,
for sure. Like, like it's one of those things. Same with Tom Brady in football. The quarterback positions changed where you can barely even touch the quarterback now.
Right.
So
you know what I mean?
He's able to extend his career a lot longer now and stuff. Same with LeBron. You can't hand check. And I'm not a LeBron fan, but I respect it. But it's one of those things you can't check no more, you know.
Yeah.
So he's actually done a good job of thriving in this area and stuff. And it's nothing to take away from LeBron, though, at the same time, too.
Absolutely. And I just think every era has its guy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that whole comparison has always been crazy to me. I mean, obviously growing up with Jordan, I'll forever be a Jordan fan. And I feel like he was, you know, the most dominant during that time, and he left his mark. And when I see LeBron, I like LeBron, and I think, you know, LeBron's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
You know, we've never seen anybody like that. But what I try to explain to a lot of people that love nowadays hoops, and they say, you know, KD and, you know, all the Giannis and all these different players right now, you know, what they would do back in the day, but people don't understand the evolution.
Yeah.
Like, everything is different now. Like, the training is just different. Like, those dudes that played back then, they didn't have the luxury of getting the kind of training that we have now.
Exactly.
You know, they didn't get to evolve into the things that the people have done these days. So you can't really make those comparisons. But even when you do, Jordan still, he still shows you that he would still be one of the most athletic dudes these days, and his fundamentals are crazy. And
all the analytics say he would have been still one of the top generational players, even if he played now.
You can't touch him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Holy. Well, you can't touch him, man.
That's why I said
and he shot good free throw percentage, too. So when you do touch him, he getting 12, 15 points from the free throw line. He averaged 40 points, and people don't understand that.
Yeah.
But they just look at, you know, LeBron, and they think about if you drop LeBron against all them Tom, Dick, and Hanks, how he would destroy them. But you can do that with anybody now.
Right.
I mean, pick any player in the NBA right now and put him in those days. He's going to go crazy just because of evolution. And
like I hear kids all the time. Even my son is like, LeBron is the greatest ever. You know what I mean? But like, it's just the era we in and stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure when we were younger, our parents, you know, Bill Russell, or
right.
That's the
Or
best
Will
player ever. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where we're older now, and you know the game's changed. Like for example, my son is way better than I was.
Right.
When I was younger. So
that's
you
true.
know, like it's like what Fred said, the game has just evolved so much and stuff. Though, and we expect so much from kids at a younger age now and stuff though too. You know, so.
Exactly. And, well, it was funny. It was one meme I saw on the internet. They said one record that'll never be touched is Wilt Chamberlain's record. Remember, he fucked 10,000 women in his lifetime. So they said that's one record that'll never be touched. I was like, wow, they just reaching for anything now, man. Like I said, internet's undefeated, bro.
Well, I will say, I mean, LeBron has about 3 or 4 more years. We're talking about 42.
Yeah, he's gonna put that record. He's gonna put that record in a place where no one will catch it.
I think this record right now I think it was 84. So you're talking about like 38 years. I think it is. So we'll see how long that record actually takes to be broken. You know.
To play generation and stuff. To play for 20 years, man. That's
and play at his level is crazy.
Because, like you said, the way the game is, though, so these guys are gonna be able to play that long now and stuff, though, too. So we'll see.
And then, so I wanted to, and the last hot take I wanted to talk about before we move on to the other stuff was the transfer portal. I have specifically reached out to a lot of my Division I college coach buddies, my D2 buddies, like a lot of them. So, you know, I want to mention these guys real quick because I want to give them their credit where credit's due for taking the time to talk to me. So, Coach Barnes at Bakersfield University, I appreciate you. That's a Division I. Coach Brandon at Arizona State, the Sun Devils. Thank you for giving me some time as well. And Coach Damani at San Jose State and head coach Tim Miles at San Jose State. Thank you guys for giving me a little bit of time out of your season, because you guys are in season right now, to talk to me. Coach Patrick at Sacramento State, thank you for talking to me as well, and he's going to be a guest on the show. But I want to talk to you kids and you parents realistically, especially because the AAU high school season's coming up. Mm-hmm. I want to have a real conversation with it, and you guys obviously give your opinion as well. The biggest thing you guys are going to compete against is not even the guys on the court. It is hands down the transfer portal. The transfer portal has essentially turned college basketball into AAU, even into some degree like high school. Kids can transfer, and college coaches are going, especially at the D1 level, are going to look at the transfer portal before they go to any AAU event, before they go to any prep school event, before they go to any JC showcase. They are going to go look in that portal. Again, and this is, again, I want to quote Coach Barnes from Bakersfield when we talked about it, so I could read it to you guys, right? He said, college basketball is really old right now. Dudes are 25 to 26 playing college. So younger teams like us are getting blasted right now if we don't have veterans. Yep. So I am looking for JC guys and transfer portal guys before I look for anyone else. And then, of course, I responded back. Then this was his response, too. I said, what do you think you'll ever change? Do you think, like, what's your perspective on it? He said, man, I'm not sure. He said, the pandemic and this transfer portal has created a mess, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he said there's going to be freshmen leaving to get a better situation. There are going to be players leaving all the time. That's why me personally, I look to recruit JC kids. The risk is less. The years are less. And most of those guys have a tendency to be more reliable. Universities, our competition is not giving us time to develop guys anymore. So the guys who help you win immediately are the older guys. So that's who we look to get right away.
Yep.
And again, this is his specific words, but pretty much every coach I talk to has echoed that.
Yep.
So where does this circle back? Well,
it's a pandemic.
Yeah, I talked to my seniors and my juniors, and shit, especially my freshman and sophomore. Like, even as talented as my sophomore group is, like Mark and Eli, and I tell them, no one is looking at y'all.
Right.
I don't think parents understand this or get this enough. No one, let me say it to the camera, let me say it on my show right now. No one is looking at y'all unless you are 6'7", 6'8", and above, have a shit ton of clout, an NBA player's son, extremely athletic, like you're playing like at a level that just no one can ignore.
Right.
Even if you're a talented all-conference player, that's not enough. It really comes down to your coaching, or your coach at your high school's connections, your AAU coach and his connections. Again, I've built my network over years, so it's nothing for me to call a Division I coach, a Division II coach, a D3, a JC, a NAI. But I built those connections through years and years and years of doing this in hard work and being respected in that coaching community. Because there are plenty of AAU programs out there. College coaches won't say it publicly, so I'll be their voice for them. They don't respect y'all. There's plenty of them. They don't fuck with y'all. They'll be respectful. They'll be professional, but they not recruiting none of your kids just because they're on your program. They're like, man, we don't touch that program, and they tell me, but I'm not gonna put any of that business out on blast. So, what is your guys' take on this whole craziness with the transfer portal?
I mean, coaches is just trying to just keep up, but it goes back to the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's going to be like that for at least another 2-3 years, because you got kids that were able to get an extra year back. So, I mean, if you're a senior, you're going to probably graduate at 26 now.
Yeah.
And I graduated high school at 17. So imagine a 17-year-old going to college and you're playing against kids that are 25, 26.
Yeah.
That's a 6-7 year difference. So that's a big difference. And another thing, too, is some of these kids are going to prep schools at high school.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting 2 years of prep school, and then they're starting their college, because their time doesn't start right until they actually go to college. So you can get an extra 2 years going to prep school or something, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then, like, that's what happens, though, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know.
As Future says, it's a cold world.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, a lot of coaches, they're just trying to just keep up, basically.
Yeah, because it's their job at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's the business side of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's you got to run a business as well as a coach. So now, like you said, that coach just told you they're not giving us time. You know, before you can bring in freshmen and red shirts and you know build these kids up and develop them, but they're not giving you that time anymore.
Because
so
you
now,
get blasted while you're doing it.
You got to go get those dudes that are ready to play today. I don't have time to give you 2 years to get ready, and what happens if I get you ready and then you transfer?
Right.
No different than what we're dealing with.
Exactly.
With our kids.
Right. Like, oh, I don't like my fit here. I'm out of here. Right.
That's ready for somebody else.
That's what I'm saying. That's what the transfer portals kind of turned college basketball in. I think at some point the NCAA is going to come in and regulate this because one thing just with the NCAA, they like control. Clearly, it took them damn near 100 years to finally allow the NIL stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so they like control. They have no control over this, really. You know what I mean? So at some point, they're going to find a way. I don't know how. And to me, I don't have a problem with the portal, but I do have a problem of the trickle down effect where it's like the AAU mentality is now seeping into the college mentality, right? You know,
It's more about the money.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's not again, it's just I speak to my college experience, and maybe you could speak to yours as well. I just remember the culture of it, you know, building those bonds with some of your teammates, you know, just the rivalries, the intensity of it. You know, that's why I took my kids to a Sac State game the other day, my 8th graders, my 6th graders, my 5th graders, and they really just enjoyed it. Just that they played Eastern Washington. They lost, unfortunately, but just the atmosphere of it and, you know, the culture around it. But it's like, man, nowadays, let's say that 14th guy that was on the bench at Sac State, I'm happy because I'm the 14th guy. Now he's going to go transfer to a Division III or a Division II. Instead of just saying to yourself, okay, I'm in this spot. I'm going to bust my ass. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to compete, and I'm going to show my coach that I belong, you know, in that top 8, top 10 rotation. That seems to be gone nowadays, man.
That's gone, dude. That's gone. I've been trying to teach that to my kids. You know, when I've built some super teams.
Yeah, of course.
And kids have been on my team and want to play all these minutes. And I'm like, dude, look around you. Like you got to be realistic. Like if you want that, you got to go get it. You got to work. When you get your minutes in the game, you got to take advantage of them and show me that you can earn more minutes. Like I told my son when I came out here to college, they brought me to last, and then they wanted me to redshirt.
Yeah.
And my coach brought me in the office, and he said, you know what? Either you can redshirt, and I can guarantee you, you know, plenty of minutes next year, or you can take the few minutes that, you know, we have available for you and roll like that. So I said, give me the few minutes, bro.
Right.
The few minutes. I took the first few minutes in the tournament in Reno, and next thing you know, I'm playing good minutes. You know, I took advantage of those few minutes, but kids don't want to do that, dude. They want to be promised. They want to be promised something up front. Like, you going to guarantee to get these minutes, bro. You got to go get them.
2 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, yeah, you get it. Well, I know. You get out of here whenever you got to get out of here. Just don't knock the camera down when you get out of here. No, I mean, that's just my big thing is like, you know, with the way the transfer portal has shifted college basketball, I just don't know what's going to happen, man. Moving on to the next thing, well, I want to give a big shout out and a splash for Shine and Andre Stojakovic. We have a McDonald's All-American in our mission. Are you out, bro? All right. Be safe. Olajawon has to go. He has a business to run. That's it. Just don't knock my camera down, bro. Appreciate it. No. So me and Fred, I guess we'll talk about it. But with I'm gonna end up getting Andre and Shine, his trainer, are gonna come on my show pretty soon.
Nice.
I've been posting and showing that. Man, I can't even remember last time Sacramento had a McDonald's All-American in this area. The biggest thing kind of with him, he ended up playing with the Compton Magic. Mm-hmm. Shout out to them. You know, they helped broker this Adidas deal with me and Dom and E-Top and all them. I know I saw some things where people were like, you know, man, his dad got famous with the Sacramento Kings. He's here at Jesuit playing with in Sacramento. But then when it came down to AAU, he left and went to a SoCal team, right? And I can play devil's advocate and see people's side of that because I tried to recruit Andre myself too, but obviously I knew I was competing with the heavyweights, so but I tried to convince him to play with me on the Rise circuit. He obviously went the other route, and it worked out for him. My thing is, especially, do you think a kid in that situation should stay in Sacramento? Like, should he, or was that the right move for him? Well, obviously, in retrospect, it was the right move for him. I mean, it got on the platform and things like that. But obviously, a little in me would like to see him have thrived with the Sacramento team and kind of help push that team to the next level, right?
Yeah, I would say no right or wrong answers there. I think it's obviously good to stay home, build up your own town. Your dad was huge here, and have him, build up something here. But also, you can't limit somebody. So, if you got this huge opportunity, and I mean, Compton Magic is huge.
Yeah.
You got to take advantage of it. Even if you just try it out or guest play or something, you got to try it out. I never heard of him until I saw him playing for the Compton Magic.
Yeah.
So it did something big for him. But then you go back to, like we were saying, if you're good enough, you're gonna be seen.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna be seen.
And
they would have came and saw him no matter where he was.
Right. And let's say 6'7", I think 6'7", wing guard, can score. I mean, yeah, it's there's no doubt. And congratulations to you, Andre. He committed to Stanford as well. So that's where Issa's at right now, and that's another former Jesuit kid. So obviously Jesuits doing their job as far as getting kids where they need to go. So ultimately, again, I like you said, I agree with you on that. There's no right or wrong answer. Would have been nice to see him with a SAC team. Didn't happen. Who cares? I'm just happy for the kid, right? Because there's a million kids that would have took that opportunity too. Sure. Let's just keep it real. Any of them would. What do you think of, and especially it's getting younger and younger and younger, what do you think of kids being ranked? Like when they rank these third graders and fourth graders and all that stuff. Like, of course, there's just some super talented kids like KP's son, Cam Potts. He's very talented kid. And he's getting all the clout and all the love, and rightfully so. But man, it's tough. I was on my Facebook group, the AAU fans, and this one guy's in like South Carolina, North Carolina, ranking like second graders, like top 20 second graders, and all, and that's a bit excessive to me. I was just curious your thoughts as another AAU guy.
So my son was one of those kids,
right,
in those rankings. So as a parent, you kind of like it. You love it. You love seeing your kid on that list and getting that recognition.
And I'm not saying there's going to be a dopamine hit. I mean, there's a hit of like,
right.
Yes, great job. Because you put in that work, it's like watching your investment pay off, right? It's like watching, but realistically, I mean, now that your son's in high school, and shout out to Fred Jr. because he's on varsity as a freshman, but
his mom watches this show, she's going to kill you. He's a third.
Oh, he's a third.
I'm a junior.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, you're right. He is a third. You're right. He is a third. You're right. He is a third. I'm sure he's realizing now, like, yeah, none of that shit mean nothing. It don't mean nothing now.
It meant nothing. And I when I look at this, matter of fact, I don't even pay attention to it now.
Right.
Because I know it's meaningless.
Right. I want more kids and parents to understand it. Like it's great in the moment. And again, we all like to do things to a degree for recognition, for, you want your work appreciated. Nobody's above that. No, like I'm not above that. Of course, I like seeing my teams in the rankings, but I ultimately know that it doesn't mean anything once they get to high school. It's just the temporary, like, great job, fellas. You know what I mean? Think of all the tournaments you won, all the trophies, all the big tournaments, everything. Again, took my team to Bigfoot last year. Mm-hmm. We won it. And, not my 17, but my, the 16U that I had with Alicia. We won that. Great job. But ultimately now, doesn't mean much. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, let's get on to the next year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you remember that big thing we had on Instagram with the kids at one time when those rankings came out. And some comments were made, and it turned into this whole big deal.
I know.
I was trying to explain to my kids then too, like, you guys look at this ranking list. There's 8 teams ranked above you that we have destroyed.
Right.
Like, it's like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, stop looking at that stuff. Like, just do what you do in your games, develop yourself, have a good time, and maybe down the line somewhere you might get something out of it. You might get a scholarship somewhere. Like,
exactly.
That's really it. Forget about those rankings, but
yeah, and it's just one of those things.
Parents like that stuff too, man.
And you know, it's like how places like Grassroots and West Coast Elite. I mean, it's how they get their pull. You know, Bay Area sports. I think it's BAS. They do a ranking system, and to me, there's nothing wrong with it, especially on the team side, because it does keep it competitive. It is kind of nice to know. It is kind of nice. Like for my 6th grade, I can look at Lake Show. You know, okay, they're at Peyton's Place, Oakland, so and now it gives my team a sense of like, okay, we play them,
right?
Hey, we got to go. You know what I mean? And that helps inspire my team. I just try to advise people, don't get so swept up in it. You know, don't get too swept up in that. I wanted to talk about, before we get to our last segment or whatever, I wanted to talk about the CIF stuff, right? I know. I'm pretty sure you've seen kind of the same stuff. I did a 1-minute segment on like with Kiku Parker and Jalen Newhouse. I know Kendall Lewis, and shout out to all you seniors. A lot of these guys are now seniors, and I watch you guys grow up, and you know, I wish you all the best, whether you've played for me, played against me. I know some of your coaches I've gone against for years, can't stand my ass, and it's okay too. But I really do hope you all get to have an opportunity to play college ball, whatever level it is, and enjoy your senior year. But I alluded to in my segment on it just how CIF has so much power and can decide so much of these kids' athletic fate, not even just in basketball, but in all sports. I was curious of your take on it, or if you had an opinion on it.
Yeah, I felt like that was crazy. I mean, just to isolate it, you know, situation of Kiku, you know, that you know, guys on his senior year and can't hoop.
Yeah, right.
Like, why? Like, what's the
and it's
reason
and it's all from the word of his coach. You know what I mean? Like, we can't have this misconception. Again, coaches are people. Like, we would like to believe coaches don't have a bias. We would like to believe athletic directors and coaches don't have a resentment towards these kids or families, but that's just unrealistic. We're human. People in general have resentment or likes or dislikes of each other. There's people on the internet, like a polarizing guy like Andrew Tate, right? Just because he's all over the place. There's people who legitimately don't know this man. They just seen quick segments of him on social media, and they will go on the internet and say how much they hate him. Yeah. So clearly in human nature, we're going to like and dislike certain people. So to believe that high school coaches aren't capable of disliking a kid and just saying, I want to do this just because I don't like you or I'm mad at you, I think it's just I think it's naive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's got to be you have to be able to provide proof, in my opinion, or something like that. If you're going to say, okay, this kid Kiko went to Grant because he knows the coach and the coach recruited him, because that's basically what El Camino was trying to say. I believe you have to provide some sort of evidence. It shouldn't be, oh, yeah, we believe you, he's guilty. Now you got to provide evidence to prove the opposite. Right.
And I agree with that. But for me, it's like, even if that was the situation, why do you care?
I know.
Why do you care what a kid makes that decision to go play? That's just like us. We've lost really good, high talented kids to other programs. But if we could, would we go in and say, my kid was recruited, so he going to have to sit out this AAU season? Like, no, just give the kid the opportunity to go play.
Exactly.
Hopefully he does something big and he comes back and tell you, thank you for what you've done for him in the past. But I think that's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know where this is going to end, or if it ever will. I just think when you have entities that have absolute power with no accountability, it breeds corruption. You know, you just can't help it because you basically just have a group of people that can just say, yep, this kid can't play. Yep, he can play. He can't. She can. He can't. She can't. Like, and that's it. there's no anything else. Nobody's holding them accountable. So just was curious on your side of it. I want to get into my segment of respectfully disrespectful for guys who know that one. So, Fred, please feel free to chime in as well if you want. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, and maybe you've run into this, varsity coaches at high school programs hating or dissing AAU coaches or looking at us as less than or, you know, treating us like we're the enemy somehow or some way instead of working with us. Did you have any take on that?
Man, yes. I mean, I'm fortunate right now to be in a situation where my son's with a coach that he's very transparent. I mean,
yes.
he doesn't like AAU, but he respects it.
Right, but at least he says it, right? He's not doing the mental BS or whatever.
Yeah, but you know, I took my son out of Chico because they were 100% against, you know, AAU. And I'm like, do you guys understand that every piece of talent you have on your team is from the development through AAU? They're not getting that from you and the few practices that you've done.
That's crazy. It's like most of them don't even meet them till like 8th grade. It's like, well, who do you think had them before you?
Right. Do you think they learned that in middle school basketball? Like, no. Like, this came from them traveling and playing against competition, and now when they come to you, they're ready to go. But a lot of coaches look at, you know, when they saying AAU, they're saying, you know, they want to play one-on-one ball, and you know, some AAU programs don't teach the kids anything. So I can see the flip side where some coaches don't like it, but like, you gotta respect the ones who doing what we do. Like, we're developing kids, bro. Like, I'm a trainer also, so I'm teaching them. Even like now, like, I've got some of the kids up in Chico that come to my training sessions. It's like, you got to give some respect to the people that's getting your kids ready for you. Like, you're winning games and having talent because of what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So I think that's crazy when some coaches just are completely against AAU.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it stems from. In my experience, because, you know, I coached high school level as well. You know, I had my stint at Whitney, and I did Encina, and I was at Capital for a little while, and obviously, and let me speak to that in case everybody, because some people think let me make this clear to y'all. I didn't leave Capital on bad terms. Me and Mike didn't have any issue. It's just logistically it was difficult. I don't know if you guys understand this. Maybe some people do to a degree, especially those who know me, but Ken G doesn't really run YBA anymore. It's pretty much me who makes a lot of the decisions. Now, again, I'm not saying it like it makes me above anybody or anything, but I have a business to run here, and the logistical drive from Rancho to here without any freeways and having to go to practice for 5 days a week, it was just too difficult between the gas, the driving, the time. I couldn't commit to it. So Eric took over, and he's doing a phenomenal job there. With that JV group. And so let me just make that clear to everybody, because I think some people think we left on bad terms. Me and Mike are good. Like, he knew everything that was going on. We talked about everything that was going on, and it's nothing bad at all. It's just logistically I had to be here because at the end of the day, no one's going to run your business like you. So I had to make sure YBA was functioning in the right way. So that was – I just want to throw that out there because some people were – thinking like there's some type of issue. But that's, I mean, I don't know, that's AAU world in general. So the last thing on my respectfully disrespectful part is there are AAU programs out there, and maybe you've experienced this. I know I experience it with YBA constantly. I try to really make it a must. And when I mean try, I shouldn't even say try. I do. I really don't try to speak bad on other AAU programs, right? Even with some of the private information I know, even on my platform and show, and I've got some controversial sides of things because I call shit out on my show. But even there's a lot of things I don't say. Let me just put it like that, because it's not my business to say. I only speak on things that I know of and things that a personal towards me. But AAU programs speaking bad on other programs, I'm not a big proponent of that. And I was just curious of your take on that side of things.
Well, privately, you and I have kind of talked about this a little bit, and I don't get too much in detail with it because, like you said, I don't talk about it. Like I'm not.
Right.
I don't know why anybody would have to talk bad about a program to make their program look good.
Right.
Like I just would never do that. I've never said one bad thing about anybody else's program. This is what I have for you, and this is what I offer. Either you like it and you come join me, or you don't.
Right.
But I'm not gonna tell you where you're going is hit this or that, because that's none of my business. Like, I don't like it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can't stand that. And dudes that do that or programs that do that, they lose a lot of my respect.
Right. And I don't know where it comes from. I mean, I guess a lot of the motivating factor you could say is money and just clout and things like that. I know even for myself, I've seen Instagram posts about YBA and myself in general, like namely me, and
Dang.
yeah, it is what it is. People. I know I get a misconception I think some people get of me, and Olajawon talked about it on the show when he was the guest. He says a lot of people think you have an ego, or it's about you or something. And it's like, and Olajawon said, I don't look at it that way. You're just confident in who you are as a coach and what you're teaching your kids, and you're confident in your kids, as I think any coach should be. I don't go to a game to lose.
Right.
So, but he's like, you come in, you do your thing. If people want to talk to you, I try to be very approachable. But if I have a look on my face sometimes where I'm focused, well, yeah, it's because there's certain games, like, for instance, when my 8th grade played your team constantly, yeah, I'm focused on that game because I know those games are going to get intense, as they have plenty of times. Like, and it's never, for me, and I believe yourself, it's never on anything personal. It's the competitor in us. That's normal, right? And yeah, are there some teams I see on the list? I'm like, okay, we're probably gonna beat them, but I don't disrespect them or make them feel like they're less than. I'm just focusing on, like, okay, that's the game we want. You know what I mean? You know those games. Like, that's the team we want, right? I'm not quite sure where all the hate comes from, I guess, but again, I guess it comes down to the individual. I don't hate to see other people thrive. I don't hate to see other programs thrive, but all I can do is focus on YBA. I just know I hear a lot of rhetoric in terms of me saying, oh, well, it's all about Chris's ego. It's like, dude, there is no ego in this for me. If there was ego, I don't think we'd be sitting down and collaborating like I've asked you to do, or Ryan, or if this was all about me. I'm just saying, let me make this clear for y'all who's listening or checking this out on YouTube. Oh, and by the way, please subscribe if I haven't said that already. Subscribe, hit that follow, hit the notification. And then for those who don't get it, I'm trying to show that, yes, Fred wants something out of this collaboration. Ryan wants something out of this collaboration. I want something out of this collaboration.
Right.
That's how collaborating works. Nobody gets 100% of what we want, but we all get something gained,
right,
if that makes sense. You know what I mean? When you have a treaty, when countries come together and make a peace treaty, no country gets 100% of what they want. That's not how it works.
Right.
Again, it's collaborating to work together to ultimately the goal is to help the kid, right? To help the kids and give them the platform and hopefully make us all look good at the end of the day.
And a lot of people have been asking me too, is like, why would you think about collaborating? Like, you got a really good team and you guys are already winning, and why collaborate with teams that you've already beat before, and a lot of things like that. But they don't understand that there's such a bigger picture, and yeah, we can win some games locally. Yeah, the teams we're collaborating with can win some games locally, but when we all travel, it's tough.
Yeah. Oh, it's very tough.
People don't understand what these programs are doing. Like, for my Atlanta Celtics team, man, we had dudes from all over Georgia.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
we pull from all over Georgia to build that team.
Right.
So if we don't do that in our area, there's 30 teams in Sacramento.
Yeah.
It's diluted.
Right.
We
Probably
can,
more than that.
Yeah, we can beat up on each other
Right.
locally, but to travel afar and try to be one of the best teams in the nation,
Yeah.
like you're gonna have to do some kind of collaborating. You got to come together with some people to make that work. And the bigger picture is bring attention to Sacramento.
Yes.
Whether that's YBA or a CTB or Clutch or whatever team
Yeah.
it is, like we want the attention to come back to Sacramento. The coaches are following Sacramento, and now you're playing against a YBA, and you
Yeah.
could be seen. Like,
Yes.
like you don't know where that'll take us. So that's to answer anybody that's wants to know why would you do that. That's why. Like I have a bigger picture of it. I got kids that are little right now that's going to be coming up.
Yeah.
They'll be playing in the area at some point. My son still got 4 years
Right.
to play in his area. So, we want to bring that attention to Sacramento. And why not have a big program here
Right.
that's getting that same attention where, obviously you guys are getting it anyways.
To a degree, but like you said, we got to claw our way up. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
You're getting it on the West Coast.
Right.
But nationally,
Yeah.
East Coast, down south, it'd be nice if I went to visit home in Atlanta and they were like, "Oh, YBA."
Yeah, like we've heard about them or
That'd
something.
be nice.
Yeah.
And you guys are halfway there. You have that where I'm little man on the totem pole. Like I've made some strides, but you know how long it'll take me to get to that
Right.
by myself? Like,
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
impossible. So, I'd rather just have that attention come into the area, and we have our big program where we don't have to try to go to a Team Lillard or the Soldiers or Lake Show or Compton Magic,
Yeah.
which much respect to all those programs. Those they're dope,
But
and
they're further.
they've done the work. West
Right.
Coast Elite, they've
Yeah.
done the work.
Yeah.
Now let us have our terms. So.
And that, like you said, that's the ultimate goal. I'm trying to build a Sacramento because, kind of the two teams. Well, let me think. I want to say the three teams that you would say are kind of at equal levels is Rose City with the Rise circuit, right? They're doing the Rise. That's where we were, last year. And you have us and PHPS in terms of the two Adidas. Like, shout out to Dwayne. I know I'm going to end up playing you guys at some point. You know what I mean? Like, we're the two Adidas Gold teams in this Sacramento area, and then you have one UA Rise team, which is Rose City, right? We are the only three teams that, as far as I know, that are associated with, the shoe circuit areas and whatnot. Obviously, one of us is trying to get to the next one, right? Get to the varsity side, right? PHPS has been doing it a while, and Rose City's been doing it a few years now. So obviously, YBA, we're taking a crack at it, right? So to me, collaboration is key. I like bridging gaps and need to reach out. And plus, the bigger picture is I want people to see black men be able to work together because, unfortunately, we do have this stigma. We do have this tendency to think or act in only our individual outcomes, and they don't see us collaborate enough. That's something we talk about it. You hear it all the time, just recurring in our culture. Like, black people don't work together. So I think if they see me, you, and Ryan make this a successful year, doesn't mean if we don't get a triple SB contract, it wasn't successful. No, I think if we collaborate together, the kids have a great experience. Obviously, coaches get paid and not have to pay the coach, and everybody's has a good basketball experience and a great fighting chance to develop and go out there and win. I think that's a win overall. That's just my opinion. So, if you want to piggyback on that or anything like that, but that's me.
You said the biggest thing at the end is develop. If we get that development out of it, then we gain what we were going to gain in any other situation anyways.
Yeah.
So no matter where the kids are going to play, like I still got my own, schedule that my
of course
Avengers are going to do. And, we still want to go to those tournaments and develop.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the biggest thing. What I've talked to my son about is, no matter where you're playing, like me and your high school coach has things that we need you to work on for your next high school year. So you need to develop. So this is just another platform that, we got an end goal that we want to try to reach. But at the same time, as long as we're developing throughout it, we're still going to win.
All right. Well, Fred, I appreciate you being here, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for taking the time. Sorry we're a little behind because Johan had to set up and whatnot, but no, I appreciate it. Before I get out of here, I want to do my shout-outs real quick. Shout out to Coach Patrick at Sac State. I think you're doing a great job, man. You're making kids enjoy and want to go back to Sacramento State and look at that as a viable option. Ryan, shout out to you at Touch Shooting, brother. We'll be talking soon. I know I'm going to sit you down on this couch and we're going to have some good conversation too. The seniors at high school, again, congratulations. Enjoy your last set of games. Playoffs is about to hit for high school, so, good luck to all the teams out there. Kai Huntsberry, one of my former players who's out there killing at the D1 level right now. I'm proud of you, man. Want to give you a shout out as well. Phil Handy for the LA Lakers. Again, thank you for your help. Thank you for sponsoring that team with Ryan, and hopefully, that goes well, which it looks like it's all forming and coming together perfect. Shine, can't wait to get you on the show, brother, and Andre, you as well. Congratulations again, being a McDonald's All-American. Did you have any shout-outs, Fred, or anything like that you wanted to say?
No, not really, man. I've kind of kept to myself, so, shout out to just, the kids that have been staying with me, the ones that are loyal, the parents that are loyal, I appreciate that. And, I just, an opportunity for me now is, I want everybody to understand that I'm kind of branching into Sacramento with my training. So, I want to open up my training platform to if anybody's looking for that fundamental training. Again, your kid could be 3 years old or 17 years old, they can still come to my training. So,
and he's going to be working, and that's part of our deal too. I'm going to allow Fred to use some gym time here at YBA. So, we're going to collaborate as far as the training programs there. I'll have links for his social media and stuff if you your parents or anyone on YouTube want to reach out and get a hold of him. So please feel free to check that out. Again, Fred, man, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time, brother.
Appreciate you having me here. Thank you.
All right, man. Everybody be safe out there. Subscribe. We are out.